Good morning, guys. I sitting here in the Raider weight room thinking about some things this morning. Specifically, Dale Ross and Griner covering our game the other night. Really appreciate you guys coming out and covering, especially coming all the way from Charlotte. It was pretty neat to see the things you had to say after the game the other night. But as I was thinking about those comments, in particular, some of the comments made by Coach Sam Griner, I was starting to get a little frustrated with some of the things he said, and I thought, you know, how do I handle that? What do I do? What do I say to our guys, to our players? I thought, hey, this is a good opportunity to show and model what you do when you disagree with somebody and the way they said things and handle things with you. Now, both for our young men and for our community, hopefully. Going into the playoffs, we're going to have opportunity, social media and things, to be a source of a lot of interaction with other fans and other communities. And in order to keep those things positive, I'm going to try and model that. Coach Griner, in particular, some of the things you said, you pointed out some issues we might have on defense, and it may or may not affect us in the playoffs. And some of those things I found interesting, take those under advisement. But I was more frustrated by the way you said them and the tone in which you said them. When you look at one game, I always love a good debate, and I love point-counterpoint arguments. So you brought up some things about our coverages and staying in coverage and those kind of things. But you made assumptions based on one game where you weren't there for the entire full game, and you didn't see all that game. And in the end of that game, it was a game where one team had a lot more points than the other team. So as a coach, you know, that's probably the thing that bothers me about your comments, is that you have been in our situation, and to make an analysis based on such a small amount of data in our field is not something I would expect a coach to do, or to give off that impression looking at that in one game. This was also against an opponent who was 75% run. So, you know, those are the decisions that we've made, and I know you understand those decisions you make as a game plan going into that game that may or may not have anything to do with how we interact with other opponents. Secondly, you brought up the point of whether or not you roll, disguise, stay in your coverage, those kind of things. And that's a great football debate for any time, any point in time in the year. There are a lot of different philosophies on that. Important thing to note, I think, is physiologically what position are your players in to make plays, whether you're rolling or whether you're staying in coverage, whether you're working multiple coverages, or whether or not you're going to be doing one coverage. I think you got to be good at whatever you do, and I think that's a great debate going forward. I would rather, though, it not be picked apart at the end of a game, like I said, given the small amount of data. And I would think that as a coach, you would be a little more responsible with your words in that scenario. Why do I think it's important to address? Well, again, the biggest problem is, I think that frustrates me is that Coach Griner is a member of the coaching fraternity, and he should understand all of those issues I just brought up before making what, again, I find an irresponsible comments about our defense. And very, that's probably what bothers me the most. And I would just ask that going forward, Coach Griner, you would take those things into advisement. Think about all the hours and all the things that go into this job that you know full well what it takes when you're trying to develop young men and put them in great situations and to have great success. You would think about those things before you just make the comments about and laughingly what seem to be mocking our defense and our young men and what they were doing. Guys, thank you again. Look forward to seeing further coverage from you guys going into the playoffs, and hopefully we'll have the opportunity to continue playing for quite a while.